shitty. Who knows? It might not be. Alrighty, guys, welcome to the stream and welcome everybody to the stream this morning. Sorry, we're just going live right at market open, but overall today we're seeing some great movement out of the market. We have CUEN really popping up this morning. Lots of people are talking about SOFI or SOFI. It's actually trending on Wall Street Bets sentiment charts right now as well. Looking pretty good off that $19 support so far this morning.
All right. So did you see Pops popping up a decent amount too, Tom? I know that CLOV had a good amount of attention flowing towards it on Wall Street Bets. So I'm just going to share the stream on Discord. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, CLOV is looking pretty decent coming down. You said PEP, right?
Yes. They actually
Pepsi.
They had a decent move this morning. How's it looking?
Pretty good, up above 147.50 here. I was not expecting a move like this out of Pepsi at all, but on that 1 year daily, it looks pretty good. The setup is looking decent. It's coming down. Let's say it's bouncing off that like 145 support, looking very good, possibly back to the upside today. I could see it going even higher. It's not even past the high of yesterday yet. So, oh yes, it is actually. Well, it was earlier, but it might start to get back up above that 147.80 resistance that we saw from yesterday.
Sounds good. And then I definitely have my eyes on some of these Chinese stocks like Baba. Baba is still holding its ground right around that 226 level, so it's definitely on my radar. I think it has a lot of potential to pop up over the next couple weeks or so, and I'm definitely keeping my eyes on it because, Tom, as you know, this thing is definitely a runner. Like on, what was it, Friday, it really popped up, and I know you were holding calls on it for some time.
Yeah, it was actually really good during that time. And, we got out just before that move at the end of the day, but we still ended up coming out pretty good on it, about 50%, I think, or 40% on that one. But overall, pretty good move still. I love the 226 support on Baba. We've been bouncing off of that the past couple days, and so far today at open, it looks like we're just kind of consolidating here, moving up and down pretty rapidly on the 1 minute chart. Looks like a lot of like Doge type of candlesticks, or you know what I mean, like the Doji type of setups. But looks pretty good though. I like that 226 support, like I said, and hopefully Baba can hit that and start to move back to the upside.
Sounds good. So welcome Keisha, Hunter, Sean, JW, Mike, Matthew, Jay. Thank you guys so much for joining today's stream. Looks like we already have some comments filtering in, but you guys know the drill. Just, post whatever stocks you want us to cover and we'll check them out. But before we get into that, I want to cover LVS. I saw us having a pretty good morning, and it looks like some of these like hotel stocks are trying to reverse their trend. I was also looking at Caesars. That one didn't pop up just yet, or it's not even popping up at all right now, but LVS is looking pretty good, which is great to see.
Yeah, they were looking pretty good in pre-market, and even here at open, they're starting to look pretty decent. So I like that move. And on the daily, LVS has gotten beaten down lately, but they're down right at that 50 to 51 support, and they look like they're going to have some pretty good movement, maybe over the next couple weeks if it can start to get a decent little kick back to the upside here.
Sounds good. And then we have Keisha asking about BBBY. So, Tom, I was telling you about this one, 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, you were. You were telling me, I think, that they had some good earnings or something this morning?
Well, they had crazy earnings. We could see that they closed yesterday right around $30. They ran all the way up to $32.20 and then all the way down to $28.60. And then they opened, slightly higher, and now they're popping back up. I did not fully read their earnings just yet. But, it's just very, very volatile in pre-market, and it looks like it's trending in the right direction, actually. So, do you have any, resistance levels or anything for us, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say with all this movement, but yesterday there was a high right around that $32 area, and today in pre-market it got pretty close to 32 a few times. So I would say 32 is going to seem like a good short-term, intraday type of resistance. Yeah, definitely right around that 32 to 32.20-ish area. And then whenever we go out on the daily chart, you can see that 32.20 area is really more defined on the daily. So yeah, I'd say right around there looks pretty decent. And if we start to see a move up through that, I think we could start to see a pretty good break. Maybe, it seems like there's a pretty clear path up to $40. I don't think we would see, obviously a move up to 40 today or anything, but it's definitely doable.
Alrighty, and then Keisha is also asking about Clove. So I know this one also has a decent amount of attention from Wall Street Bets, and it is making higher lows, which is always great to see. They do have a pretty big resistance right at 14, and it looks like they are in an ascending triangle pattern up to 14 right now. As long as it holds this area like right where it is now, like maybe 1350 or so, I would definitely expect a retest of 14, and we even saw some of that unusual options activity yesterday with Clove.
Yeah, for sure. And CLOV, they always have like a lot of they're always trending like on Wall Street Bets, sentiment charts and everything like that. So they definitely have a lot of momentum and a lot of potential to possibly continue up. I liked that move yesterday with them. Kind of seemed like they were moving off that 1280 to 13 support area, and I honestly really liked it. But today so far we're not seeing that type of breakout movement that I was hoping for. But it's still very early on in the morning, and it is hitting that 1,000 SMA right on the head, right around that 1350 support that you were talking about. So hopefully we see a solid hold of these levels like you said, and we might start to see another break back up. And I would say if we could start to break out above 1395 or above 14, we might start to see pretty good movement.
Sounds good. And then we have Mike saying maybe AMD can touch $100 soon, and it's definitely trending in the right direction. AMD's having a pretty good day so far, already up 2%, and it's definitely trending in the right direction. There will be a pretty decent resistance right at 95 or so. It's really moving though, and I wouldn't doubt it, but I think it'll take at least a couple months.
Yeah, it really could. $100 is going to be pretty tough for AMD. I mean, they got really close to it before. It's their all-time high. It honestly looks like it's going up towards it right now, but like Mike said, it's going to take a little while. We're not going to see. I mean, we could, but we're probably not going to see any big 5% days or anything like that with AMD. Normally around 2 to 3% around what they are, kind of like a candle of yesterday is around in the higher percentile of the move. So it definitely is a pretty good looking stock though. I like it a lot, and I think it could easily hit 100. It's just the question is how quick is it going to do that?
For sure. And we have Walmart rallying up, Tom. I don't know if you saw that one. It's up pretty big. It's up 3%, which is huge for a stock like Walmart.
Yeah, what's going on here with Walmart? It's like we're seeing some of these value stocks start to tick back to the upside here, which is a little bit strange, but Walmart is starting to really recover. That's a nice day. Like you said, up 3%. They rarely move like this, and whenever we look at it on the daily chart, you can just see over the past few months we've only had 2 or 3, maybe 4 of these type of 3% days. So it's definitely a pretty nice runner, and I like it a lot. But since it doesn't move a lot though, I'm going to be pretty worried about it for the rest of the day today, because I would kind of expect it to consolidate or to slow down a lot. It's not every day that Walmart goes up 5%, but maybe there's a big catalyst behind it. We'll have to see what ends up coming out.
Good stuff. And then with the next comment, we have Corbin saying, "Good morning, Mike and Tom. I'm curious on your thoughts on VIAC. I have a 64 strike call option for July 23rd. So I really like the setup for VIAC, but to be completely honest with you, I really do not like the strike price or the expiration on that call option you have. It is extremely, extremely far out of the money. The 64 strike call for July 23rd. Let me see something real quick. Let me just pull up a quick probability test. So July 23rd, 64 strike call. I don't even see that on the chain, but it has around a 5% chance of expiring in the money. So extremely low chances of winning. I love the setup for VIAC, but even if it pops up, it can go all the way up to $60 by July 23rd, and you'd still lose money. So honestly, I don't think it's worth playing if you're going to be that far out of the money. You're better off just saving it for a better play.
Yeah, for sure. And it comes down to just getting, a well-priced option, and it'll really save you in the longer run getting a better strike and a better expiration.
All right, Corbin just said that it's actually the 46 strike call. Okay, so that's a little bit better. So it still has around a 30% chance of winning around there. Yeah, it's not bad. I like the setup overall. I prefer if you could get more time because, these options only have 23 days until they expire. So that theta decay will be pretty exponential. So, maybe if you could roll it to maybe like August or so, that would be better. But it's not the end of the world if you stay on the current expiration. Then we have Mason saying DFEN. I know Mason's been messing with this one for what, a couple months now?
Yeah, he's been messing with it for a little while, and man, I'll be honest, it kind of looks like it's pulling back down to that support right around 23, maybe $24 there. It looks pretty decent though, but I will say in the shorter term, I think it might start to go down as we see, we're seeing Boeing start to fall. We saw like Lockheed Martin kind of going down as well. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. I know their names, but like General Dynamics, I think is GD. Yeah, like this, just about all these defense companies seem like that they're starting to turn over a little bit. Boeing and Lockheed Martin are obviously some of the bigger ones, and they're starting to really not look the best in the short term. So hopefully DFEN can start to go back up for you, Mason. But I would say in the short term, be a little careful of it. It is down there at that support, so hopefully it turns around. But we're seeing a lot of these stocks start to fall, and like ones like Lockheed Martin and Boeing seem like they could possibly go down a little bit more.
Alrighty, and then with the next comment, let's see. We have Keisha saying my NIO is looking good. It broke through the $50 resistance level. How's it doing? Really good. I mean, NIO's on a tear. Like she said, it broke through that $50 level, which is pretty big, and it's trending in the right direction. I love them for the long term. For the short term, I think they're slowly getting to the point where they're a little bit overbought, but they are a powerhouse, and no one can call the top. Like I've been watching Nvidia for a couple weeks now, and almost every day it makes a new high. So it's definitely hard to bet against it, and I love it for the long term. I love Neo, and I think they have a ton of potential.
Yeah, it's starting to actually recover so much that, like, in my eyes, like, we're starting to get really close to some resistance. We're starting to, get a little high. I love it for the long term as well. But, man, this recovery has just been straight up with NIO. Really nice, actually. And I think it's great for, like, momentum plays in the shorter term. For the longer term, I'd like to get shares a little bit lower, but still at these prices, it's not the worst. You're still, the highs are still up there at 66. So you can still get a decent move out of it, I should say.
Sounds good. And then we have, let's see, we have Jerry saying Tesla to 700 and then with a question mark. So I can definitely see it, Jerry. It's been slowly popping up there, and I know it's been lagging a little bit behind like tech stocks in general, but we're just seeing a lot of momentum with these tech stocks right now, and I can definitely see Tesla back to 700. It's like lingering just under that area right now. Jerry, did you see any big sweeps or anything on it? And then Tom, I know we were talking about this a couple days ago. I wonder if Michael Burry is still holding his puts.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to think at this point that he is out of them. I mean, if he's still in them, I don't know. I'd be pretty worried myself, but it looks like a pretty decent setup here. Honestly, it's moving up above some key trend lines, some key supports, and I think it just looks like a decent setup to possibly at least retest 700, if not start to break it. But I really like the setup on it, and we're seeing NIO continue to break out, and if tech keeps going up, I could see Tesla really starting to break out of 700. But it's just going to depend, I think, on if tech can just continue its ascent to the upside, or if we start to see consolidation. Because if we start to see that consolidation, I think it'll drag Tesla down. But who knows? I think today Tesla looks like it's going to have a decent little run here.
Alrighty, then we have JW saying, question, should we get into VIX or SQQQs today? Or is this a temporary dip? So that's $1 million question, but I'm not sure if you saw the video I made with the $4.5 billion options trade. Basically, someone put a ridiculous amount of money into S&P 500 call options, and ever since they did that, the market has basically went straight up. So for that reason, I definitely would not buy VIX calls or short the market, but that's just me. And after seeing how the smart money put $4.5 billion into calls, I just don't think it's smart to do that right now. But always trust your gut. Even the smart money can be wrong sometimes. Always, always, always trust your gut.
Yeah, and keep in mind that the Fed, they're doing a lot of that stuff with the inflation right now as well. And keep in mind that like the stuff that they keep doing is actually making the market go up, and they keep saying inflation's not going to last and all this stuff. So if you're like worried about something like that in the shorter term, then I'd be a little careful, I guess I should say, because it seems like the Fed is just obviously going in an opposite direction. They obviously don't want the market to come down at all. So they're trying to really, dampen the news right now and everything. And I think that it's obviously going to help the market possibly in the shorter term, especially if we can start to see like interest rates go up and stuff. I think it'll help the banks out and everything like that too.
Sounds good. And then we have Luther saying, hey, what do you think about DAL? So these poor airlines have been getting smacked lately, along with, even cruise lines and even some of like the hotel stocks. They've been getting smacked. I like them right now. I like DAL, but I don't think this is going to be a short-term trade. Like, you might have to wait a couple weeks or even a couple months to see it pop back up. But I like the current setup, and I was really considering selling some puts on some of these airline stocks.
Yeah, that honestly seems like a pretty good play right now. These things are starting to really tank off, and if it falls below this like key support area around 43, I mean, man, it's definitely going to be a good opportunity to possibly sell some puts or even grab some shares. But I would definitely try to sell some around maybe the 40 strike or maybe even all the way down to the 35 strike, because those are two pretty decent support areas there.
Alrighty, and then we have Bravo saying, good morning. Can you guys look at Boeing and NCLH? Let's check out Boeing, Tom. I know that you were watching it a couple days ago. It's up a little bit right now, bouncing back up, bouncing off the 236 support. Looks like it has a relatively big resistance right at 240. It's just kind of consolidating, and we are seeing a rotation into tech stocks and out of value stocks, and Boeing kind of falls in that value stock category. So right now it's at a point where, the market is at all-time highs, but we're seeing a lot of money rotate out of stocks like Boeing. So for that reason, like, I wouldn't necessarily short it, but at the same time, I wouldn't buy calls into it, or I wouldn't buy it just because, that's not where the money's flowing. So I'm just neutral on it.
Yeah, and keep in mind it's probably following like the airlines, and we see like Lockheed Martin coming down too. So it just seems like that overall this everything that Boeing does right now is just taking a small hit. I did see some good stuff where United was going to be buying some Boeing jets, and it didn't even help Boeing stock go up at all. So I don't know like what that, if that's going to matter or not in the short term or the longer term, but I think in the longer term Boeing will be great and it'll recover up. But honestly, in the short term, it looks like we could see more downwards movement, and I would think we could possibly retest that 220 support.
Sounds good. And then looks like we have AMD really popping up, Tom. This thing is up almost 4% today, and it's really, really rallying. IV's exploding too. Tons of volume coming in. Definitely keep your eye on this one.
Man, it's up because I showed that picture on those Formula One cars last night in the video, and everyone got
Right.
excited and bought AMD.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, AMD's looking nice. I mean, very strong. They're honestly a powerhouse. I've loved AMD. I talk about them just about every single day in the streams. And you always ask me like, Tom, what are you watching? And I'm always like AMD, like right right away. I
Yeah.
love AMD so much, but it looks very good here in the short term. Obviously, we're getting close to some resistance now. Unfortunately, right around this like 94 to 95, 50 or 95 area. So just keep that in mind. But overall, a lot of momentum today out of AMD. This is just pretty much a straight ups type of setup, and I love the movement off the SMAs. It's just riding this 100 SMA to the upside and just fails to really move below that.
Alrighty, Neo's flying too, and then Tom, my stock's making a little bit of a recovery right now. Zoom, ticker symbol ZM. It sold off a little bit at open, but the buyers are coming back in, which is I love to see that stuff. How's Baba doing? Oh, they're slowly coming back up. It's good to see the SPYs rallying a little bit. QQQ just went from red to green. Now it's red again. How's Beyond? BYND. Oh, it's popping, Tom.
Yeah, look at that. That's a pretty good move, actually. I like that above that 158 resistance. That's actually pretty good. And then it came down and retested it in the shorter term. So I really like this. The 1 minute chart looks pretty good on Beyond. Let's go check out the 1 year daily. And wow, this daily actually looks pretty strong also. Yeah, that was a pretty good breakout above that res. Like I said, looks pretty good actually. I like this setup in the shorter term. And since we're starting to break out, I think we could maybe retest that resistance up here around like 162, maybe 163, but we're not too far off from that right now. So I think that that move could happen possibly like today or later on tomorrow.
Did you see Apple? It's exploding up too. It's just under 137 right now, and it's having some pretty explosive movement so far.
Man, these tech stocks just don't stop. Like it almost reminds me of AMD's setup, but Apple looks really strong. Also, I really like them. Obviously they're a powerhouse stock. They always generally have good movement if tech is doing pretty good. And I think that they're getting really close to that 138 resistance. This one is pretty defined, more defined than the resistance on like AMD and some of the other stocks. But man, I think that we might start to actually break that and maybe start to get to all-time highs. Like we've been seeing Microsoft sitting here making all-time highs, not today, but for the past few days, and it seemed like Apple was just lagging behind, like I've heard you say it a few times, and I think that they could start to maybe break out to those new highs soon.
Alrighty, and then we have PC saying Palantir running nicely. How's it doing? Yeah, it's doing pretty good. Made a nice recovery. It wasn't looking too good in pre-market though, but I'm glad to see it's changing direction. It just went from red to green. It's popping up. It looks like a little bit of resistance right around like 2680, and then a bigger one right at 27. I like this one for the long term. But for the short term, it was getting a little bit overextended to the upside, which is fine when it pulls back. But I definitely like it for the long term.
Yeah, and they hit right off that resistance around 2750, so I think that was a pretty defined area as well. So just keep in mind this could just be a little bit of like downwards movement just due to that resistance or just due to a slight pullback. But I would think that Palantir could still obviously be good in the long run. It's just a couple of red days is all.
For sure. And then we have, let's see, Mike saying, good morning, guys. Great job. What do you think about Workhorse and LOTZ? Thanks for everything you do. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you for that awesome comment, Mike. Let's check them out. So Workhorse is the first one, Tom. I like they're, it's definitely speculative, but I like it. I know it's been beaten down a decent amount lately. They do have a pretty strong resistance coming up. Let me get an exact level for you. You can say like right around like 18. That'll be a pretty strong level. They are making higher lows, which is great to see. But let's keep in mind that this stock really moves off of like hype and then like certain catalysts. So really like you're going to see some explosive movement like out of nowhere, and there will be opportunity for it. Overall, I like it. It's just risky. I think the best way to go, honestly, is if you're looking to like gamble with this one, shares would probably be the better way to go because you don't have to worry about like time decay or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree. Shares might be the better way with Workhorse, and there's going to be a lot of volatility. And I think in the short term, Workhorse is hitting off some resistances, like at 18, and they're hitting them pretty strong and just failing to break out. And I was hoping for some more movement to the upside today, but with the way we saw it break down, it made me lose a lot of confidence in Workhorse. I was really hoping for like a nice pop back to the upside, possibly for a breakout.
Alrighty. And then the next one, LOTZ. Let's check it out. LOTZ. All right, I haven't looked at this one in forever. It's tanking down a lot. I really don't like this one, just to be completely honest with you. Well, and it doesn't mean it's bad just because I don't like it. But, you look at like the daily chart on this thing, and it's just been really, really struggling. It like had highs of like 13. Now it's all the way down to 5. It's a penny stock too. So I'm really not a fan of it, but always trust your gut.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. It definitely has gotten beaten down, Mike. I mean, definitely not the stock for me, but it could start to recover up, in like the next couple months or something like that. I'm not sure what they do fundamentally, and I think that would be a big factor on me like holding them for the longer run, of course, but overall just not the type of chart setup that I look for.
Sounds good. And then we have Corbin saying, I'm looking at Beyond. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. Actually, it's popping up. Looks like it's getting pretty close to a breakout right around that $160 area. Beyond's one of those stocks where, when it breaks out, it normally likes to run for a couple days or so. IV slowly creeping up. Volume slowly trending up. I like the setup overall. You have to make sure the momentum's there. Like I remember back in I want to say the end of May, Beyond just exploded up like every day for like the past couple days, and it was some really explosive movement.
Yeah, and if we start to see more like gap ups and stuff like that, then we'll start to see some really good gains and stuff out of the beyond calls and everything like that. But we are getting close to resistance, so I would definitely keep in mind of the like 163 to 164 area. That's definitely a pretty defined area.
All right. And then we have Bravo saying, when do you guys expect this rotation to stop from value to tech? So it's really hard to answer that question because, there's so many variables that come into place. However, these rotations can last for a while, like anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months. So it's really hard to say, but honestly, I'm really just going to be monitoring the unusual options activity that I called out, I want to say on Friday. In Friday's video, the $4.5 billion trade. I'm going to be using that as a pretty good gauge for the market. And then, you'll just slowly be able to realize, these setups will get a little bit weaker. So, for example, over the past 2 or 3 weeks, Apple has done nothing but go straight up for the most part. Now, when you start to see like more consolidation, like when you start to see like more red days and like stronger red days, that'll give you a hint that the tide is starting to turn. So like you just kind of have to get like a feel for it. It's not going to be like a set date. So it's not going to be like, oh, like on July 15th, like it's gonna like transition from from tech to value stocks. It's like a definitely like a couple week transition in itself, because ultimately what the rotation is just a bunch of funds and just a bunch of money in general slowly selling out of one sector or part of the market and flowing into another. So it's hard to say, but we'll definitely be covering it in the videos.
Yeah, for sure. And that type of transition, like Mike said, it's almost impossible to guess like the exact like, there's no like set day or anything like that like he said. It's more of like a slow and steady thing like he said, kind of like with funds just, getting in and out of stocks. And keep in mind that like a lot of those funds, they have like they manage hundreds of millions if not billions of dollars in some of the banks
Right.
cases. And it can get obviously they can have a lot of power, a lot of control over the overall market. And like whenever we look at like the QQQ, we're seeing it's just exploding, going straight to the upside. I think once we start to see the QQQ start to really fall off, then I think that people will start to get back into value stocks a little bit more. But as of right now, I mean, look at Apple; it's still not at all-time highs, and there's still a lot of these other stocks like Palantir, Zoom, and a lot of the others that are pretty far away from highs actually. So it seems like that honestly, like I feel like that a lot more movement could still come out of these value stocks at least over the next couple of months, and then possibly like over the next like 3 months to like 6 months. I think then we might start to see the value stocks start to go up a little bit more, but we'll definitely see like Zoom I think hit like the 450 resistance or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see that, Tom. I've been waiting for that for a while, so I hope we do see it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, then we have Mike saying your thoughts on KTOS. Kathy Woods just bought in. So let me take a look at it. So I'm looking at her trades right now. It looks like she's been buying in for
Did
a
she buy it
little.
yesterday or did the news come out yesterday?
Well, it looks like they've been buying into KTOS for like the past couple of days. Actually, like yeah, she's been buying in June 29th, June 28th, June 18th,
Oh
June
wow.
17th, June 16th, and I can go on and on and on. But they've definitely been averaging in for a while now, which is good to see. Let's take a look at the chart. I mean, it looks good overall. The what is that? The all-time high at 34. Let me double check. Yeah, all-time high right at 34.11. It's creeping up there. I like the way their max weekly looks. I like the setup overall, but I think shares would be the safer route.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people talking about these uh these
Defense
these
stocks.
security yeah, the cybersecurity stocks. And man, we're seeing like so much good movement out of those. I mean, it's looking really nice. Like there's a lot of them. Honestly, I can't think of a lot, but a lot of them are moving up. I saw an ETF on one a while ago on the security stocks, and it was really like at all time highs. So I know that they've been talking a lot about like the hacks that have been going on, like with the government and with those pipelines and everything. And I know that that's definitely going to help a lot of these stocks, especially like whenever the government starts like doing contracts and stuff like that, fun and hiring these companies.
For sure. Yeah, I'm looking through like Kratos's, that's the name of the company. I'm looking through like their description, and it looks like they do a lot of a lot of good things related to security and defense, like you mentioned, some cybersecurity, but a lot of other things like missile defense, training and combat systems, which is really cool. So I'm glad you pointed that one out, Mike. And of course, it's good to see Kathy buying in. Of course, make sure to do your own due diligence.
Oh, the
Don't just
ETF for that, by the way, is HACK, HACK. That's the cybersecurity ETF.
Alrighty. Then we have Bravo saying, "What are your thoughts?" What are your thoughts on CAT? Is it a sell now or a hold? So value stocks have been struggling a lot lately. They had highs right around 247 and popped down to what is that? Lows of 205. Really, we're just seeing a rotation out of value stocks. CAT had an amazing run up over the past year, going from 124 to 246. For the long term, I don't think you can go wrong with them, but I definitely don't expect them to pop up anytime soon. The money is definitely not flowing into their sector right now, and at the same time, they are a little bit overextended.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out from the past is, you can see like from 2017 to 2018, Cat really exploded and ran straight to the upside and then started pulling back and consolidating for 2 to 3 years actually before starting this new trend back to the upside where it just exploded again. So honestly, I could see it going down even more. That's just me. I don't know if the infrastructure bill or something like that will end up changing the outlook on CAT at all, but personally, just based on the chart movement, I could see it keep going down. I see a really solid support around 180 and then another one right around 200. So if they can fall below 200, I would target 180, but in the short term, it definitely seems pretty bearish, I think, and it looks like it's starting to really turn over on the daily chart, going to the downside.
Sounds good. We have Neo still rallying. How's AMD? AMD is, basically at their high of day. BBBY is exploding. Holy, this is crazy. Almost 27%. Check this one out.
Yeah, I remember they had that crazy earnings in pre-market, like you said, and man, then now they just exploded up. I was not expecting a move like this out of this stock, but they move like AMC and stuff like that. They're definitely a pretty big hype stock, and in the past they've had some pretty big moves. I'm glad to see them running like this, but man, who would have guessed that they would have had this type of a move with negative earnings?
Yeah, and it looks like they have a relatively high short float. So the stock bot's saying just under 20%, and that'll definitely do it. If Wall Street Bets gets a hold of it and they notice, hey, they reported decent earnings, plus they have a high short float, they'll definitely get on it. And it looks like that's what's happening. Let me just look at this one a little bit more. Yeah, it's definitely exploding up. Definitely keep your eye on it. Then with the next comment, we have JW saying, Win has good strength today. Let's check it out. WYNN. Yeah, it's popping up pretty well, up around 2%. Looks pretty good. LVS is looking good, almost 3%. MGM looking good. How about Caesar? Caesar's looking really good. I like that one. Definitely like that one. What's the other one? It looks good. I'm glad you pointed it out. I think we can see a bounce out of this sector, definitely. I like the setup, and I feel like if you grab shares, some of them are kind of beaten down, and I think they're pretty good opportunities right now.
Yeah, and I've heard lots of good things about Vegas right now as well. So like with like MGM, Wynn, and a lot of these stocks that we're talking about that own casinos and hotels and stuff like in Vegas and a lot of these, attraction areas. It's good to hear that there's all this good sentiment coming out because I've heard a lot of good stuff about, obviously during COVID they got beaten down a lot, like you can see on the chart. MGM got destroyed, but actually I've heard now that they were able to raise their prices because of COVID, and now hotels are costing 50% more in Vegas and everything like that. So seems like it's really helping these companies really get into the profit zone right now.
Alrighty, and then we have PC saying holding CVM puts that I wrote, strikes of $12.15 for the July 16th expiration and August 20th expiration. He averaged in chances of staying above those levels by then. So he said 12 and 15 strike puts. So let me look. So the 12 put for 716, we have, 12 put. You have around a 30% chance of that one expiring out of the money. And then for the 15 put for August, you have around a 21% chance of that one expiring out of the money. So the odds aren't the best, obviously, because the stock is tanking right now. But if you don't mind holding this company for the long term, then I guess you're not in too bad of a position. Hopefully, it just like pops up and has a nice rebound. And who knows, maybe you might get assigned shares at $12.15, and in a couple weeks, it might be sitting back at like $18 or so.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. I don't know what this catalyst is that made them fall down, but definitely interesting. They're all the way down to like that $10 support, so hopefully they can bounce there and start to go back up. But I don't know what kind of catalyst this is, but if they break that $10 support and they start to fall below the red 1000 SMA here, I would start to get pretty worried.
Alrighty, what else do we have moving? Just doing a quick scan. CCL is moving up, which is great. It's good to start to see some good momentum with cruise lines. They've just been getting demolished lately, and it sucks because they were on a really nice trajectory, starting, you could say like the end of May, and they're just really tanking off.
Yeah, they are, and it's unfortunate to see. And it's one of those scenarios where everyone was kind of expecting like, hey, it's the summer, CCL is gonna finally be able to set sail, and they're gonna finally make profit. NCLH too, and all the airlines are gonna do better. But it seems like the whole sector is just pulling back now. And it seems like I don't know if it's that new COVID variant coming out or what exactly is going on, but it's definitely not good news in the short term for these cruise lines anyways. I don't know why they are getting beaten down so much unless they're like canceling certain, not flights, but certain like sailings or certain like trips and stuff like that. So just be a little wary with the cruise lines. I do like the airlines a little bit better, but I think that they're both going to move honestly the same. So like if AAL starts to fly up, I think we'll see CCL and like NCLH start to fly up also.
All right, we have Spacely coming in saying, happy trading day, guys. Come on, guys, hit that like button. Let's go. So, yeah, guys, hitting the like button really helps Tom and I out. We would really appreciate it if you guys could hit the like button. It really helps us out, and we would really, really appreciate it. Then we have Mike saying, Zoom is definitely the future for business to business, according to Charlie Munger. So, I love to hear that. I'm a big Zoom bull, and Charlie Munger's a pretty respected investor, so it's always great to see. And Zoom's doing pretty good in general. I like them for the long term as well as the short term. I know we've been in on calls on this thing since like May 13th or so we're getting towards the end of the short term uptrend. But I definitely like them for the long term.
Yeah, and hopefully we can break this 400 area, and like I said earlier, maybe run up to that 450 resistance.
Sounds good. And then we have Keisha saying double bottom on CPB. Time for a gap fill. CPB, let's check it out. Campbell's Soup. I haven't been watching this one too much, to be honest with you, but it is bouncing off that $45 support, and that gap fill is all the way up to like, you could say like 48 or so for what I'm seeing. I could see it. Honestly, it's not my favorite setup right now, though.
Yeah, it's actually playing off the 1000 SMA pretty well. I don't know why the Campbell's Soup, it just makes me laugh for some reason. I just think about it like when I'm sick or something, but but we have this 1000 SMA looking pretty good. I see that double bottom that you're talking about there, and it looks pretty good actually, I would say. I think we could actually start to fill that gap. And if you want to get shares for the long term, I think that now's a good time. You're at the bottom part of this range around that $45 support, and I just think it's a good time. But keep in mind that's only if you like it for the longer term. If you don't like it for the long term, then I would probably not play it right now, just because it looks like it could go either way in the short term. And I would definitely get some time on whatever you do, but I could see it start to fill that gap maybe over the next couple months or so.
Sounds good. We have Jerry saying, what's going on with PDD? It's a great question. I'm watching this one extremely closely. It's down quite a bit today, 4.5%. I'm not seeing any major catalyst right now. I've seen that on, what was it, June 25th. It kind of had a similar setup, like it just tanked off and then went flat. Even on the 28th, another pretty similar setup, just like tanked off, and then yesterday it exploded out of nowhere. So I'm not sure. I'm not seeing any specific catalyst on it, but I'm definitely watching it very closely.
Yeah, and they're not down too much yet, which is a good sign. It seems like that their red day isn't, like there's been bigger ones obviously in the past like couple months, and It's not too bad yet, so hopefully it can start to turn around here. But PDD on the max daily, I'll say it looks pretty good. Like it filled that gap almost down to the downside, is hitting off that 120 support so well, like one, two, three, four, five, around six times now, and it just looks like a stock that might start to curve back up. And honestly, I think I would target like 160 or something like that on PDD at least over the next few months. Not right away, but if it starts to go nice, like slow and steady to the upside, 160 would be my target.
Alrighty, we have Corbin saying it takes weeks to grow my account and 1 day to blow it up. I really don't know what I'm doing wrong or what I have to do. So, is there any questions you have, Corbin? Because I know a lot of traders go through that. I know a huge thing, especially for options traders, is it's not even the direction. Like, if you're buying calls and then it goes the wrong way, a lot of times it's just the expirations and strike prices selected. Like I see a lot of people, even if they have decent account sizes, they mistakenly buy really crappy options, and it just devastates their account because a lot of times, even with options trading, it's not even about direction. It's about like timing and expected moves and things like that. So I can't stress enough. Strike price and expiration selection is so important. A simple rule to follow is you always want to get as close to the money as possible with as much time as possible for as cheap as possible. So, another thing Hunter just said is position sizing. If let's just say for simple math, if you have a $10,000 account, you don't want to be putting $5,000 into each play. Like, maybe $1,000, but most likely even less than that. Like just get the hang of things, and once you're on a roll, you could slowly increase it. I'm really glad Hunter brought that up because
that's actually what I was gonna say too, because that's a huge deal. Like you should never blow your account up in 1 day. So I think you definitely might have over leveraged in that situation. I don't know, but it shouldn't take 1 day to blow it up, anyways.
Yeah. So like Hunter was saying, position sizing is really important. That can definitely make or break you, and it doesn't hurt to just start small, maybe like take like a couple day break and then just get back into the game, clear your mind, and get ready to go. I could say pretty much every trader has gone through that. So it's not just you, but it's definitely a learning curve either way.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those situations. It's unfortunate, but just bounce back, learn from your mistake, and but really learn from it though. Don't just discount it as like a scam or the market being wrong or something like that. Look at it and be really technical with it, and look at exactly like what you did wrong and everything. And if you do that with every trade, you'll start to see a lot of inconsistencies you have, and you'll start to fix those.
Alrighty, and we have Corbin saying, I try to put 10% of my account into a play. It just hurts seeing so much red at once. Yeah, some would argue that 10% is a lot to put in, but it ultimately depends on your risk tolerance and account size. Another thing I would recommend is maybe having a couple positions open. I was doing a lot of research over the past couple weeks, and when you just have one position open, it just makes it easier to see red in the account. Like you have a less chance of all of your positions being red, and as long as you're in good quality setups, most of them should work, and that should just be better for you. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions or anything. I know you're in the Discord, but if you need any help, just tag Tom or even Hunter or myself. Then we have Bravo, or actually we have Vicky saying Uber, please. Let's check it out. Uber, it's not looking bad. It's holding its ground. I like the setup, but I don't love it. The level to break out above is right around, you could say like right around 52, but the high is like 52.36.
You said on Uber, right?
Yep, Uber.
Where are you reading this?
Uber 52. It's the high from 3 days ago.
Oh, okay. I know. I meant in the chat. I see now. I see, because we skipped a lot of the chat.
Yeah.
I see. I was like, I'm so confused. But yeah, it looks pretty good here. Maybe moving up above. I would say today there's a pretty good level right around the high of day is around 51.30, 51.33. I would say up there maybe around 51.50 seems like a really good resistance, but there's a pretty big support down here where we are today around 50.30. So I think we could start to see more movement to the upside, maybe up to that 51.50 area.
Alrighty. Then we have, let's see, Bravo saying USD. What do you think of US dollar through UUP? Let's check it out. UUP. I actually haven't looked at the dollar index in like a day or so.
It's
Give me
looking
one
great to the upside again.
second. Yeah, it's really popping. I would expect it to continue up. Yeah, UUP does look pretty good. Actually, I'm going to analyze that some more after the stream. I like the setup though, and I would expect it to continue up.
Yeah, and one thing with UUP that I don't like that, is a little bit unfortunate is that, it takes like a few months to only move like $3 per share. You're going from 25 to $28 at the high, right after COVID happened. So just keep that in mind. UUP is definitely a more slow moving ETF than most other ETFs out there, but it's good though. You're not going to win or lose too much in the short term. But I think that the dollar itself, dollar sign DXY, obviously you can't buy that, but I think if you could get something else with the dollar, I think it's a really good thing to do right now. The dollar looks really good, I think, to the upside, especially like over the next like 1 to 2 years. After that, the outlook might change, but I think that we'll start to see a pretty good move off of this double bottom.
Alrighty, then we have Bravo saying only thing is COVID. If we start getting bad COVID, it should start another lockdown stimulus, and that weakens the dollar. But other than that, USD is strong. It can go back to 25, 26. Why is the Dow Jones popping up? I think rates going lower. Let's take a look. DIA, I mean, it's only up like 0.3%, so it's not huge. Keep in mind that it has been pretty disconnected from like the SPY and the QQQ. So it is popping up, but it's not like a huge pop up in my opinion. Then we have let's see, Bravo saying, so today is end of the month. Maybe this is a reason why the Dow Jones rebalancing maybe. Maybe. I disagree, but it could happen. Carlos saying, I'm 100% invested in BABA. It's a bit risky, but I do expect to come out in the green. So I really like BABA, Carlos. It's definitely really risky to be 100% in. I do like the setup though.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I like it off those bottom supports, and I think over like the next few months it could definitely start to go up. And hopefully we don't have any bad news with China, because that seems like if we have bad news with them, it'll definitely hurt that stock. But it honestly, the stock itself looks great, and it's just, to me, it just depends on if any of those catalysts are gonna come out and hurt them or not.
All right, we have SWBI exploding, Tom. I haven't even seen this one.
Smith and Wesson?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, they're really running up. Look at that move on the max daily. That is huge. And I'll be honest, like I thought that these gun stocks would start to really fly up. Especially like with all the talk of like, new bans or like new regulations, or, different states are doing different things. So just keep in mind, whenever people like Joe Biden talk bad about guns, people run to the gun stores and they start buying up all the guns, all the ammo, everything like that. So keep in mind, while Democrats are in office, gun companies generally do better, kind of like how we're seeing now. And I think that it'll just help, obviously Smith and Wesson and some of those other brands like RGR, like Ruger, possibly in the short term. Let's see how RGR is doing. And yeah, they're moving up as well. Not quite as good as Smith and Wesson, but they're coming back up to their high here around $90.
Okay, and then we have Jorge saying Neo at $53. Damn. Yeah, it's popping up around 5%. It is exploding. It's hard to bet against this one. I love it for the long term.
Yeah, Neo is awesome. I love it. It almost looks better than Tesla to me. Tesla's looking decent, but Neo is really outperforming it over the past few days. And I love that movement out of Neo. Tesla just needs to break out above that 700 resistance, but Neo looks very, very strong on the 1 minute. We're even running up right now. Well, it is starting to pull back on the 1 minute right now, but just a minute ago, we were hitting that 53 resistance.
All right, and then we have Jerry saying SPCE going back under 40. Wow, I mean, it looks like it. It's down 7% today. It's been bleeding a lot this week so far. Looks really bad. $40 is a huge level. Might be time for a dip buy soon with this one, Tom.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I think there's a pretty big support there around that 40 area that he's talking about, and I think it could definitely maybe bounce there. Personally, I don't think I'd buy it at 40. I might start selling some puts though at 40 and maybe target like 35 or maybe 30 or something like that. But who knows? Hopefully they can start to get people into space very soon. And I think as soon as we start to see more good news or we start to see them going back into space, we'll start to see more big moves and big pops out of SPCE. They like to really run off of these catalysts and stuff. So once we start to see, I think, someone finally take their first trip, then we'll start to see a pretty big move. And I have a big feeling that whenever someone finally does go into space this way, I think that they're gonna. Well, I don't know what they're thinking about doing, but if I was Virgin Galactic, I would think about like live streaming it on YouTube and stuff like that. So I think we'll definitely be hearing a lot about it when it does happen.
Yeah, it's a pretty big catalyst either way. Huge catalyst, and that's why it pops so much. If it continues down tomorrow, I'll probably sell some puts on it. Then we have I'm Fierce saying for sure NIO. My covered calls for sure are assigned, but making money either way. But hey, it's a win-win. You got paid to write those calls, and then you're gonna sell your shares at a nice price. So it's definitely a nice W there. Then we have Bravo saying, how do you like Penn, DraftKings into NBA Finals coming soon and Euro coming soon? So I like them for the long term. I'm not specifically bullish on them heading into like the NBA Finals and stuff like that. I'm just bullish on both of them for the long term. I like DraftKings a little bit better though.
Yeah, I think DraftKings will be a little bit better. It looks like Penn might have like a better opportunity to buy on support right now. DraftKings was a little stronger a couple months ago and came up off that 40 support pretty strongly and is holding up above 50 right now. I really like DraftKings. The thing is like with these NBA finals, it could make DraftKings go up, but at the same time, it probably won't. It'll probably just be business as usual for them. And we've had lots of stuff go on, like not just the NBA finals, but we had the football, we've had like a lot of golf and stuff like that, and it hasn't seemed to move it too much.
True that. We have Bravo saying, awesome show, guys. Hit that like button, hit the sub button, hit all the buttons. I love to hear that. Let's go. Let's see what we have moving, Tom. It looks like Disney's slowly creeping up. CCIV is slowly creeping up. NIO's popping, as we know. Zoom's pulling back. They reversed on me. Uber's trending in the right direction. Disney, like I said. Yeah, it looks like those are the main movers for today. I like the way Disney's moving, though. It's really popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're starting to go up. That looks really nice, actually. Off of this 174 support, I really like their intraday movement also. Came right up through that 175 resistance area. Honestly, looks really good to me. I like Disney a lot for the longer run, and I think that they'll do pretty good. We just need to see a good catalyst or something come out with them, and who knows, maybe they'll have some good news with their parks coming up soon or something like that. But intraday, I love the move up through that 175 level. Be a little careful. It seems like there is some res at like 175.50, just a little bit on like the 1 minute chart. But if we can break up through that, I think we'll see a pretty solid, continuation for the rest of the day.
Sounds good. Well, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks or anything you're watching for the rest of the day?
Man, I mean, still, I hate to keep saying AMD, but it keeps going, no matter what we keep seeing with the market. It seems like AMD the past 3 days has just been on straight fire, going straight to the upside. I really like the setup on AMD. Hopefully it can continue, but it is up a lot right now. I'm not sure how much more it can keep going, especially today. Even tomorrow, like it's had such a good like past couple weeks that I would not be surprised if it started consolidating, but definitely look for it to keep breaking those highs and treat it as a good momentum play. I really like this. I really like the US dollar sign DXY. I'm definitely going to be looking into some type of way to get a play in on the dollar. I think on the max daily here, the dollar looks really good. I'd like to play UUP, but I just don't think I'm getting a good enough percentage to the upside on it. It'll only go from like 25 to, maybe 27 at a really large move. So I really like dollar sign DXY though to the upside. I'm definitely going to be looking at a position for this one, and I'll let you guys know like what I find on it.
Sounds good, Tom. Definitely curious to hear your update with UUP and stuff like that. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We had an awesome stream, and thank you guys so much for joining and asking great questions. We really appreciate it. Keisha said these sessions aren't long enough. I love hearing you guys analyze charts. Awesome job. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Like I said, we really, really appreciate it, and we hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day.